Okay everybody, we're going to go ahead and talk about section 1.6, and the subject is subtraction of real numbers. There's some particular rules that we need to pay attention to, especially when we start getting into subtracting and adding negative and positive numbers. So we're going to go through these slides, and after the slides I'm going to work a couple of examples from the actual homework set, and hopefully you can follow along. Remember that you're still required to read the book and read the examples before the recommended problems. That way you have a better understanding. But as I mentioned in the all about homework video for this week, we're going to go ahead and try a different format to see, to get a pulse to see what you guys like. So when you're subtracting real numbers, we'll say for example we have two numbers a and b. There's a simple process we can perform that makes any subtraction pretty much into an addition problem. So right here we see we have a minus b is equal to, that means it's the exact same as a plus a negative b. Remember, it's important to say the word negative, not minus b, but negative b, so that when we do this operation on the number line, we know which direction to go on the number line. So again, this is a minus b equals a plus a negative b. So when you have a negative sign there, it's just like adding a negative number. So one of the things that may help you, especially when we get into a long chain of negative and positive values, or subtraction and addition, is to go ahead and look at these steps, and they can help you get the answer. The first thing you might want to do is change the subtraction operation to addition, so that in between each number you're going to have an addition sign. Then what you're going to want to do is change the sign of a number being subtracted. So if you have, like we had in the previous example, a minus b, we changed the sign of b from a positive to a negative, but we added that addition sign instead of the subtraction sign. And number 3, add using either the rule for adding numbers having the same sign or adding numbers having different signs. So remember that you can use a number line. You have to first find your first point of reference. If your first number is a negative 3, we know that we'll start on the left side of our number line. If it's a positive 3, we have to start on the right side. And depending if we're adding a negative number, we go to the left. If we're adding a positive number, we go to the right of that number line. So here's an example that we can look at that demonstrates those processes. They're asking us to subtract the following problem: 12 minus 15. That's why we'd say this. 12 minus 15. Well, if we use the steps that we just talked about to rewrite this, we can rewrite it such as 12 plus a negative 15. So what we did here was change the sign from subtraction to addition. In addition, we replaced the 15 with a negative 15. Okay. And when we add 12 plus a negative 15, we know when we add a negative number, we go to the left on the number line. It takes us all the way out to negative 3. So our answer here would be negative 3. Another example is they're saying subtract a negative 3 minus a negative 9. So using the same steps, we know we don't do anything with the negative 3 up front. But what we want to do is change this sign right here from a negative to a positive. If we do that, then we also have to change the sign inside connected to our 9. And since the 9 is connected to a negative, we have to change that to a positive. So we replace the negative 9 with a positive 9. And now we have negative 3 plus 9. And again, remembering those simple examples from the number line addition, negative 3 is on the left side of the number line. When we add positive 9, we go to the right 9 places, and we end up at positive 6. So now we're going to simplify a series of additions and subtractions. So we're just going to basically be performing those same steps over and over on a series of additions and subtractions to help make everything just a whole lot easier for us to manage. And our first example is 7 plus 2 minus 12 minus a negative 3. So this pretty much has everything we talked about in there. Remember, the first thing we're going to want to do is change all these signs in between the numbers to addition signs. So we have 7 plus 2. We didn't have to make any changes there. Since this is subtraction, and we want to make it an addition, we have to change the plus 12 in there to minus 12, to negative 12. So now we have 7 plus 2 plus a negative 12. And here we also see we have another subtraction. We want to put an addition. When we do that, we have to change the number, the sign of the number we're working with. And since it's negative 3, we have to change it to a positive 3. So we write positive 3. So one little trick to note here, when you have two negatives next to each other like this, two negatives equal a positive. Okay, two negatives make a positive. So here we have a plus 3. Now we can go ahead and group. So when we write this, we have 7 plus 2 plus negative 12 plus 3. Now we want to go ahead and do the associative property and associate all the positive values together. So we got 7 plus 2 plus 3 plus our negative 12. Well, we know what 7 plus 2 plus 3 is. That's 12. Plus a negative 12. So we know how to perform this operation as well. We start at positive 12 on the right side of our number line. When we add a negative 12, we know we go to the left 12 places and we end up at 0. So this example shows us how to perform all the operations that we'll be working with in this chapter. Here's another example, this time dealing with variables. We have a negative 5x plus 6y minus 2x minus 7y. You do the same exact thing. You put all between each term now, not just number, but between each term, we want to make sure and put an addition sign. If in the instance we have to change a subtraction to an addition, we know we have to change the sign of that term. So in this case we have a negative or minus 2x, so we have to make it to addition, but then we also have to change it to a negative 2x. So if we perform the operations, we get negative 5x plus 6y plus negative 2x plus negative 7y. Now we want to rearrange terms using our associative property, and we associate all the x terms together and all the y terms, and we can simplify these. Negative 5x plus negative 2x is equal to negative 7x. 6y plus a negative 7y gives us negative 1y. So if a and b are real numbers, a minus b is equal to a plus a negative b. So we talked about this, and this is just called its additive inverse. It's just a really clever way to always make sure we're adding. Adding for some people is a whole lot easier than subtracting. So if we can always make it addition, it's easier for some of us. And again, here's just some more numbers. Some more examples. Negative 12 minus negative 5. We can go ahead and just, we know, like I mentioned before, two negatives right next to each other equal a positive. So negative 12 plus 5 is equal to negative 7. Here we have negative 10 minus 4. We want to change the subtraction sign to addition. When we do that, we change the sign of the number from positive to a negative, and we end up with negative 10 plus negative 4 is equal to negative 14. And now here's just some more, another example. And on the side they have some properties that we can use to help us combine the terms appropriately. And I'll let you go ahead and just kind of look at that. The first thing we did is we distributed the negative sign. So we can pretty much pretend there's a negative 1 right here, and we distributed that to everything inside. You see how we did that? We have a negative 5a right here. A negative 1 times 4b is equal to negative 4b. A negative 1 times negative 6c. Two negatives together equal positive, so that equals plus. Then we don't have to do that over here. And when you combine these all together using these properties, this is our answer. So that pretty much concludes the lecture. Go ahead and look at this example and take some time to see if you come up with the same answer, and practice those problems. Good luck.